Oh, it's time. It's time. It's time.
Let's do
Week
it. Let's do
two
it.
NFL picks, some decent games, some terrible games. But with further ado, you got to bring us in. Three, two, one.
Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Meow. NFL Week 2 picks.
All righty. Yes, yes. Season week two is off to a great start. So, okay. This is the only spot we also have to talk NFL as well, Raj. So we will give a
Yes.
quick second. Your team won week one. How you feeling about the
Yes.
Dolphins?
Um, we won on the last second field goal. Happy that we won. Um, Played terrible in the first half. I think the game was 17-7 at halftime. Offense wasn't really building any wasn't gelling at all. Couldn't get anything going on running game. Tua was not using the vertical ball. I don't know if the receivers couldn't separate or whatever the case may be. Offense just wasn't there. Defense was slacking a little bit. I honestly at halftime I said, okay, maybe we're going to be 0-1. It is what it is.
Right.
Something happened at halftime. Defense started playing a lot better. Tua started going deep. Hit both Waddle and Tyreek with some deep balls. Got a few touchdowns in there. Running game started to open up a little bit. So glad we won. Good thing about the NFL. Well, the thing about the NFL is you don't get style points. A win is a win. In college, it's like, okay, we have to beat this team 45-10, or everybody's
You
going to
have to
think we
impress your
suck.
voters. Yeah.
Exactly. In the NFL, I don't care what the score is. As long as we get the W, I'm perfectly fine. So I'm happy with where the Dolphins are, and I'm hoping that we improve during week 2.
Yep. So just to give you a second with it, is there any of the other games that stood out to you? Week one results.
Let me take a look.
I'll throw you a softball. Cincinnati looked terrible to start the year.
I didn't pay too much attention to that game, but I just heard Joe Burrow just stunk it up, and I think that the interesting thing about that is a lot of people pick Joe Burrow to either win like MVP or comeback player of the year, or just to have a really, really good season. But unfortunately, they started off on the wrong foot. The Packers-Eagles game was interesting. I know Jordan Love suffered that something like an MCL injury, so he's out like, if I had to guess, 5-6 weeks maybe. I think it said 3 to 4.
Putting him on like the IR or anything, so they're like could activate him anytime. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Now Malik Willis has to.
I would sit him for a few weeks just to be safe. Game was still good. It's unfortunate to see him get hurt. Cowboys look good. Dak got paid the day. Well, I'm sorry, we found out like the day of the game. He got $60 million a year basically. He showed up. Offense showed up. The Cowboys look really, really good on both sides of the ball.
But do you think that said more about the Cowboys, or like Watson is pretty much finished?
That's a good question, because I mean it's only one game. Is it? Can we say that Watson's finished because they lost one game? Is that already safe to say that?
Yeah. And then another allegation comes out after.
I heard about the allegation, and the thing is about these allegations is when so many people are coming out saying something, there's always people in the woodworks that are kind of contemplating it, like, I guess I might as well come out and say something too. So, and this is from like 4 years ago, so not sure how this is going to go, but his career looks like it might be spiraling downward. Well, it has been spiraling downwards. I'm sorry. So,
I think
that's unfortunate for him.
Raj, other people just end up getting the courage to come through, and I think that's kind of what ends up happening. So
that's true. That's true. One last game I want to talk about. Caleb Williams did not have the most impressive statistical game, but they pulled it out because Will Levis decided to do one of the stupidest, dumbest passes I've ever seen. He's basically sacked on his knees and just chunked it up to somebody. I have absolutely no idea why he didn't just eat the sack and let them punt the ball. I don't know what was happening there. He threw it up, threw a pick six.
They came back from 17-0, I think, without scoring an offensive touchdown. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah,
so that was crazy.
So, again, if you're the Bears, you take the win and say it is what it is.
Yep. All right, that's good. Do you want to talk about how your fantasy team did this past week?
No. Listen, we lost. We lost. I was playing an opponent. Shout out to Mr. U. Mr. U had Christian McCaffrey, and obviously, before the game, we found out Christian McCaffrey wasn't playing. A couple hours before, he ended up picking up Jordan. Was it Jordan House? What's his last? Jordan Mason. I'm sorry. He ended up picking Jordan Mason off of waivers or whatever. And Mason went out there, had a monster game, had like 100 some rushing yards. I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" Anyway, I lost. I'm currently, when you look at standings, I scored the least amount of points out of all the teams, so I'm in dead last. Like, here's last. I'm under last. I'm in dead last in fantasy football after week 1. I need some help. I'm hoping that somehow I can pick up Dan Marino. I don't know, bring him out of retirement. No, I'm just playing.
Wow.
Well, I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
I mean, Dan didn't win either, though. So, I mean, all right. So, moving right along.
It's a team game. Can't always blame the quarterback.
Oh, okay.
I don't need a rebuttal. Just move on.
All right. So here we go. Going
my
into
first rodeo.
week 2, we are starting off with a big one. The Raiders at Baltimore to kick off the week.
That's a big one? Really? What made you pick that game?
It's the first one on my sheet.
Listen, Baltimore's favored by 9. The Raiders don't have any answer or any type of response for this Baltimore offense. They're going to run the ball. This is not going to be a close game. I think Baltimore covers.
The Raiders are already scouting for who their draft pick's going to be. So
yeah.
That's where this is gonna be. All right. Next up, you got the Chargers at Carolina. I mean, so New Orleans is underwhelmed, and they dropped like 37 points last week. You know,
I think they were in the 40s. Yeah, I think
like, is Bryce Young a bust or not? And we're Alabama fans. We want to say no,
right?
But
that's the thing. He looks bad, and I didn't watch the game, and I didn't think I needed to watch the game. But I saw everybody on social media just going after Bryce, and then saying, "Look, you know." And it was Bama fans. They weren't necessarily going after him, but they were saying, like, "Is this it? Can things get any worse? Does he need help?" But I said this when Bryce got drafted. He is undersized for an NFL quarterback. I think we can all agree there, and it's going to take time for that Carolina team to build up a good offensive line and get him enough weapons for them to compete in the league. Not necessarily win a playoff game, but actually get 6 or 7 wins and somehow get to a wild card spot. But I feel like it's going to take several more years for that to happen. And then eventually Carolina is going to look and say, listen, the Bryce Young project did not work. And they're going to take a look at it maybe the same way they did with Justin Fields in Chicago and say, we got to find another quarterback, maybe somebody a little bigger, a little stronger. And I say that I'm not saying Bryce Young is a bad quarterback. I just think it's just going to take too much time for them to kind of build around him and to get him the weapons. Exactly.
Yep.
So,
and it looks worse because they traded so much to move up to him, and CJ Stroud was sitting there. So
exactly.
But back to this particular game.
Chargers.
Have to roll here.
Yeah,
they got to win here. They got to win.
Carolina is going to have another rough season.
Yeah, it is. I still don't believe. How did they beat Houston last year? That's one of the stranger things I've ever
I have
seen.
no idea. Was all of Houston's starters playing that game?
I think so. But even
or was that like
I'd like to. If I told you Justin Herbert wasn't playing in this game, you'd probably still pick the Chargers over Carolina just because.
I would. And I mean, right. I hope Bryce Young has a monster game and throws for 300-some yards with 4 touchdowns, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, sorry, Bryce. I love you, bro.
Yeah.
New Orleans at Dallas.
New Orleans, as you mentioned earlier, put up 47 points against Carolina, but this Dallas Cowboys defense is a lot different than Carolina's defense. Dallas is home opener this year. I'm going to go with Dallas in this game. Dallas is favored by 6.5. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Dallas by 10 in this game.
Yeah, this is the kind of game where Dak just loves. He feasts on stuff like this. So for sure, I'm taking Dallas at home.
Oh yeah.
Tampa Bay and Detroit, 2 division winners. People just seem to forget Tampa Bay's won their division like 3 years in a row. Detroit looked good coming back and winning that game in overtime. They have Super Bowl aspirations. Personally, I feel like this is a game they have to take at home early on in the season. I feel like they win this one.
I agree. I think Detroit's looking really, really good on both sides of the ball this season. They've got all the offensive and defensive weapons. I'm hoping that their defense gives me some few picks because I have them on my fantasy team, and I could definitely use the points. Again, I was in last place, so I need some help. So I'm going to go with Detroit in this game. Oh, shout out to JMO, too. JMO had a big game last week.
Yes.
So I think,
and that was one of the things they were saying. They needed a breakthrough, and he came through. So
I mean, we've known this since college, since his Bama days. The guy is extremely fast. So they utilized it last week, and I hope Jared Goff just takes advantage of it throughout the season.
Agreed. Colts at Green Bay. Both teams coming off losses. No Jordan Love.
No
Line
Jordan
is only
Love.
3.5.
That's the deciding factor in this one. Anthony Richardson threw that 60-yard bomb last week. No Jordan Love. Who is the Packers backup QB?
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. Oh, I got to go with the Colts. I got to go with the Colts. I know Malik Willis was. Listen, I know he was good at Liberty, but he just wasn't the same in Tennessee. I got to go with Anthony Richardson. I think he uses his legs and that arm down to kind of get Colts to win this game. I'm going with Indianapolis.
In a ridiculously surprising one, I'm going with Green Bay just because they're at home. I don't know really why. There's no good reasoning for it, and I'll probably definitely regret this when you can laugh at me next week. But I'm gonna take Green Bay at home still. Willis finds something amazing and comes out in this one.
I hope that Josh Jacobs has a monster game because he's on my fantasy team and I need to play this. And that too. And maybe since Jordan Love is out, maybe Josh Jacobs gets even more touches. So hey, that'll work in my favor.
Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer Schmidt. His name is all right. So
I give you too much leeway.
Yeah.
You fell right into that one. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, good Lord. You had to have watched our college football picks, which would have come out before this video to get all these jokes. If you're not watching all our videos, you're not keeping up with all our.
You're not going to get everything.
You're not true.
Yeah.
Cleveland at Jacksonville. You already mentioned the Jags. They gave that game away against Miami, or Miami stormed back to take it, however you want to phrase it. Cleveland looked awful. Traditionally, also, Cleveland's defense has not looked as good on the road as on at home. That was my sole reasoning for taking Jacksonville in this game. Don't think that, obviously neither team wants to start 0-2, but I just trust them more at home than I trust Cleveland on the road. And if their defense isn't getting anything, Watson is washed, man. I just don't think he's got it anymore. I'm taking Jacksonville.
I'm going to take Jacksonville too. I feel like even though Jacksonville lost last week to my mighty Dolphins, their defense did look good. I'll give them that. Their defense did look good, especially in the first half. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good year this year. They have a good running game with Etienne as well. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville in this game. And I guess we'll see. Is Deshaun Watson, maybe that'll be the ongoing theme for this year. Is he washed or is he going to bounce back? I hope he has a good season for the simple fact that Amari Cooper's out there, and we, big Bama fans, obviously, so we love Amari Cooper.
Jerry Jeudy
and Jerry Jeudy's out there too. Jerry Jeudy caught a touchdown pass last week, so shout out to Jeudy and Cooper. But it might be the end for Deshaun Watson, unfortunately.
Yep.
I'm going with Jacksonville.
San Fran at Minnesota. I got to go San Fran. And it's hilarious. I don't know if last week tells more about the Jets or San Fran, that you can basically put anybody in there and they can make them a star. So got to go with San Fran. Minnesota did look, well, I mean, they were playing the Giants, so it's hard to say they look good. Sam Darnold was serviceable last week, but I mean, San Francisco's just the best team. I'm trying to figure out the game that I'll pick San Francisco to lose. I don't think they're going undefeated, but it's going to be hard for me to pick them to lose, at the beginning of a game.
Yeah, I got to go with San Francisco too. They're one of the better teams in football this year. I would not be surprised if they make it to the Super Bowl, both sides of the ball. Question is McCaffrey playing this week? Does that report came out?
I look at this game and I think they're going to hold him out one more week. I would think.
Do they need it? Yeah, especially with the way Jordan Mason played last week. They're like, dude, we can use him again and let him play. So, yeah.
And if you're,
I want to say he was suffering was McCaffrey suffering a calf strain or what was it? Okay, so yeah, they might say
Achilles strain, but it's definitely a strain.
Okay. Now, what were you asking? Now, if you're Minnesota, are you insulted? What were you asking?
Are you insulted that they were like, we can rest him for one more game because we
They might be like, man, wow, this isn't Pee Wee football, but yeah, I think they can rest McCaffrey. Again, it's because of the production that Mason gave them last week, and if he can repeat that and give them 75 rushing yards, they'll be okay. They've got all the weapons on offense, so they'll be fine.
Yep, agreed. Seattle at New England.
I guess I'll just take Seattle. I mean, Jacoby Brissett did have a decent game last week, played well, got them the W. I'm gonna go with Geno Smith and the Seahawks in this game. When are we gonna see Drake May? Is it only if Jacoby gets hurt, or are they gonna put him in?
Raj.
Oh wow, Okay.
I don't know if we're ever going to see a Drake.
I didn't know what you were
May.
doing at first. Okay.
And you were just going to keep talking like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
It's fine. I'm taking New England at home. I think Drake may get shelved for a while, Raj, as long as because they're not trying to win the division this year. You know, they're trying to show a little bit of promise, get some guys, and let him get up to speed. So basically, whatever happens, if Jacoby Brissett can win them enough games and they sneak into the playoff, great. If he loses a lot, well, you're not our future anyway. We've already got our quarterback. And honestly, for New England, the better your draft pick is, you probably want to trade and get some other pieces, or you spend that pick on a like wide receiver or something, a high offensive pick. So no matter what happens, this is gold for New England. So but I'm gonna take them to win this game at home. And hope Bo doesn't watch this and think I'm picking against.
Shout out to Bo. So. Bo, I picked the Seahawks, so come on, show me some love, man.
Nice, Raj. Kissing up already. The Jets at Tennessee. Jets just got shellacked on Monday night. Defense got gashed. Tennessee was winning and then somehow managed to not give up any points on defense and still lose. And like you said, Will Levis, play of the year with that interception. Gonna take the Jets on the road.
I gotta take the Jets too. And yes, they got shellacked and gashed but they played the San Francisco 49ers, which is obviously, as we mentioned earlier, one of the better teams in the NFL. I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna have a huge game, and I hope he throws a lot of passes to guess who? My guy, Garrett Wilson. Because guess why, Herb? Guess why? I've got him on my fantasy team, and I need the points. No. So in all seriousness, I think Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson did develop some chemistry in game one. They look good together. I'm gonna see that continue in game two. So I'm gonna take the Jets on the road.
How do you think Aaron Rodgers looked in game one?
It was good to see him get through the whole game without getting hurt. So I would say A being absolutely perfect, F being bad. I'd say like a B minus. He didn't look bad. It's just that they played the 49ers, so I didn't think they were going to win anyway. Right. Took a few hits here and there, but the Jets have a good team. Though, don't get me wrong. Even though they're in the AFC East, and I don't want to see them win too many games, they do have a good team on both sides of the ball. So I think he's going to bounce back this week, though.
Yeah, last week he took an L, but today he'll bounce back. He's going to bounce back. The Giants at Washington.
Listen, the Giants looked absolutely horrible last week, and they're going to have a rough year. Daniel Jones, eventually they're going to have to move off Daniel Jones, whether it's this upcoming draft or whatever the case. I don't know what pick they're going to have, but I think there's going to be a few quarterbacks available when the Giants pick, so they're going to have to move off Daniel Jones. The Commanders, Jayden Daniels lost his first game last week, but I think the Commanders bounce back and win at home this week.
Yeah, I'm taking them home. See, it's another one of those Giants fans probably don't want to hear this, but it's not the worst thing in the world for you guys to have a terrible season. You can move off of Daniel Jones and his contract at the end of this year. You can get a high draft pick. You can get a new quarterback. You can reset. Having a bad year is not a terrible thing. But Daniel Jones looked bad. Like I was listening to a Giants podcast, and she openly questioned, "Is he broken?" And nobody seems to really have a good answer for that. So I think it's time to move on from that.
When you look at who's going to be available, obviously you have Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Shedeur Sanders, Milroe. I'm sure we can name a couple of other people in there, but there will be a decent quarterback out there that could be better than Daniel Jones in this upcoming draft. So they'll have to move on and then build around that guy. You have Malik Neighbors, so you already have your number one receiver there. So just get some help with the offensive line, maybe a tight end, and move on from there.
Yep, I agree. Moving on to the 3:00 slate, the Rams at Arizona.
I'm going to go with the Rams.
Last week before losing to Buffalo. Yeah. Right, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna go with the Rams. Cardinals put up somewhat of a fight against Buffalo, but I'm gonna go with the Rams. Matt Stafford looked good last week, even though they lost. He did look good, looked like the old Matt Stafford. So I'm gonna go with the Rams in this one.
Yeah, they did lose Puka. Now he's not playing. He is hurt.
Cooper Kupp showed up. They still got Cooper.
He did.
Yep.
He looks like the most unassuming guy who just is out there torching you. Great hands. Like, I mean, it's like, the equivalent when you walk on the basketball court, they're like, oh, nobody wants that guy. And then all of a sudden he's hitting threes. And you're
he's hitting the dunking on everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after the game, he shakes everybody's hand. He's like, good game. Thanks, guys. When are you guys coming back to this park? You're like, leave me alone, dude. You killed me. You embarrassed me out here. I don't want to play with you again.
Man, Raj, I'm going to go Arizona at home.
Okay.
I think it'll be a shootout. I do think both teams put up points. I think they go ahead and get Marvin Harrison Jr. Into the office this week after being non-existent last week, and they put focus on
He
him.
had like what 4 receiving yards last week or something like that. He just wasn't there.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they get him involved, and I think they pull out a win here at home. I think this will probably be a good game if you're watching. I guess what's supposed to be the game. Well, we'll do this one first. Pittsburgh at Denver. I mean, I can see this game ending like 10-7. You know, I'm taking Pittsburgh on the road.
Me too.
But,
Me too.
You know, this could be an ugly game.
Is Russell Wilson still out?
I think Fields is starting again.
Yeah, I'll go with Pittsburgh in this game.
Bo actually has sent me kind of leaving Denver with Fields starting.
I'm gonna go with Steelers in this one. Yeah, I'm gonna go Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, they got the better defense, and your boy Bo Nix. Though you're not going with your boy Bo Nix.
I kind of regret saying that. I really hyped him up. I do. Okay, I don't regret saying that. Let me take that back. I do think he's going to have a good career. It's just going to be a rough first 2 to 3 seasons. That's all. I mean, again, number 1 quarterback, rookie quarterback. It's just going to take some time. It's going to take some time to build around him and get some pieces in there.
Through no fault of his own, man. The team is in shambles. So what is supposed to be a nice heavyweight fight, Raj? Cincy at KC. But the Bengals looked awful last week.
Yep. And the Chiefs look like the Chiefs. The Chiefs look like they got even faster on offense with Xavier Worthy out there. They got the pieces. They were moving the ball well, throwing up some nice plays. The Chiefs have to win this game. I don't see the Bengals winning at all. So.
The Bengals have kind of been their kryptonite in past years, I guess, except for one of those playoff games. They just look better overall. I think they win this one. The night game, I assume this one's on at night because they wanted to do Caleb Williams, who did not look good in his debut. Houston at home, they pulled one out on the road. I just don't see Houston dropping a game like this at home.
No.
Debut, night game, NBC. I got to go Houston. I feel like they win this one easily.
Yeah, I think Houston's offense is going to be able to put up between maybe a little over 30 points in this game. And as you mentioned, the Bears barely – well, the Bears didn't really win that game. Will Levis basically literally handed it to him. So maybe Caleb Williams bounces back, but keep in mind this Houston defense is nothing to play around with. They got Will Anderson out there, who was the defensive rookie of the year last year. Yep. So I got Houston all day in this one.
Agreed. Then your night game, on Monday Night Football, Atlanta at Philly. Philly's defense did not look good in that first game against Green Bay. They did not. Kirk Cousins did not look good for Atlanta. I thought they would be. I mean, they were playing Pittsburgh's defense, so that's fair. I'm of course going to go Philly at home, but you got to think this is a get right game for Atlanta as far as we got to get the offense moving. Philly's open to big plays. You got to hit some of those if you're Atlanta. Or honestly, if they start up 0-2, look terrible, the Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix questions are going to get even louder.
I was just getting ready to ask. I said, when are we going to see Michael Penix? Do they let him? We're probably not going to see him Sunday because they don't want him to get beat up. But then after that, you kind of look around and say, okay, we drafted him at number 8. Let's see what he could do. But I think
that was my hot take was that Penix replaces
Kirk Cousins
this year. Yep.
Gotcha. But in this particular game, I think the Saquon Barkley revenge tour continues. He had 3 touchdowns in his first game. I know Giants fans are just looking at it and saying, like, really, we're really screwed. So I think he's gonna have another monster game this upcoming Sunday. So I'm gonna go with Philly all day.
All right, so I guess that closes out the slate for this week.
Is there a game on tomorrow night, Herb?
Is there a college game on tomorrow night?
Don't do this to me. Hashtag Dolphins disrespect. And you better pick the Dolphins. No, don't even ask me. You go first.
Man, Herb, who are you picking tomorrow night? Way last season ended still has to sit with Miami. Letting Buffalo come back, losing that last game to Buffalo. They lost both games to Buffalo last year. I know. If you're Miami, you got to get things going. Tua, they started slow last week. This is get home. We always put more faith in the home opener. Yes. You're gonna catch Buffalo. Obviously, now it's only Josh Allen. I mean, he did some folks last week in Arizona. you don't really fear anybody else out there but him. The game plan has to start and end with him. I feel like this is a huge revenge game for Miami. Hill goes off, Waddle goes off. Now, it does worry me that both your starting running backs are not going to be playing,
I
but
know.
or most are for sure, and A-Chain maybe. But I just feel like they scheme up enough to win this game, and I'm going with Miami.
Thank you. I'm going with Miami too. I think we're going to get off to a much quicker start than we did last week. Again, as you just mentioned, we were pretty much absent offensively in the first half. I think we get off to a fresh start. Still got Jeff Wilson as far as the running back's concerned. He can still give us some production. It's not going to be the same as he's not going to have the same speed as A-Chain and the grit that Mostert has, but I think he'll do just enough. But look for Waddle to have a really, really big game too. I want him to have another 100-yard reception game. So of course I'm going with Miami this game.
Yep, I like it. All right, man. Raj, good luck to your fantasy football team this week. Thank you everybody for watching.
Wow.
For checking out our other shows. We've also got our videos out, our college football picks and Bama versus the World Wisconsin edition. Check those out as well. Raj, take us home, brother.
Bark. NFL Week 2.
Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.